All right, today we're going to work on introducing a dog to blind retrieves at the water. So we've got our pond here. It's about 30 meters across at the narrowest point, which is about regulation size for a blind retrieve at an HCP. So first off, here are the tools you will need to have with you. We're going to start today with 4 different dummies. Just select any that will make a nice big splash and be easy for your dogs to see and find, some that you know that they like and will retrieve. Next, we've got my little treat pouch that clips on to my waistband, and I've got treats inside it, so we're ready to reward him for each retrieve. Got a mallard duck call. This is helpful if you need to pull your dog across the water. We're going to kind of introduce him to the sound of a duck. And then we always have a bucket of rocks in the truck too, so we've already pulled out a few rocks. So again, if we send Enzo for a blind retrieve after this sequence of retrieves and he's struggling at all, we want to help him succeed by being able to blow the duck call or throw in rocks so that he either has a visual stimulation or an audio stimulation to help get him across. When you have all of your tools pulled together, it's time to head to the water. So you'll want to make sure that you pick a day that is going to have some pleasant weather. We want the dog to have a really positive experience, so the water should be warm and comfortable. You want to make sure that you have a training partner that can help you out, and you're going to have them set up on the other side of a pond. Be sure to have them take all 4 of the dummies, as well as the duck call and the rocks if necessary. And then you'll bring the dog to the near shoreline. So we want to teach the dog that every single time we bring them up to the water's edge, they need to swim across the pond in order to be rewarded with a retrieve. We never want the dog to see you throwing a dummy. It should always come from the opposite side of the pond. All right, so we'll bring him up to the water's edge, and I mean the exact edge of the water. I'm going to move him here just to get him right there on the edge. This helps to prevent them from running the bank. We want them to go straight into the water. So here you can see that Scott blew on the duck call when he knew that Enzo was looking at him, and then he threw the dummy into the water. So we had really 3 different types of physical stimulus to pull Enzo across the water. We had a person he could see, we had the duck call noise, and then we had the dummy splash hitting the water. It's really important that you pick a good pond to start your training on. You'll want to pick one that is a good distance the dog is comfortable with swimming. So for instance, Enzo's already done quite a bit of marked retrieves and swimming at this point, and we knew that he was comfortable with retrieving distances of 30 or 40 meters, so therefore this 30-meter pond was perfect for us. So I'm going to enforce my force fetch lessons here by making sure that he sits nicely to deliver. I've got my hand on the remote in case I need to ding him if he drops the dummy. Meanwhile, my assistant is getting set up for the second of 4 retrieves that we're going to do today to get Enzo introduced to blind retrieves. So I'm trying to pull him around here to get him reset up at the water. It's really important that you have a very special and unique routine that you use every time. So for this second retrieve, you can see that Scott's moved down the bank, so he's not hidden from view, but he's less visible. He blew the duck call to provide that audio stimulus again, and then he threw the duck, but it didn't make quite as big of a splash. We threw a smaller dummy in this time. So the whole idea between doing these 4 retrieves in quick succession is that we're gently weaning the dog off of having all these different visual cues and audio cues into swimming across blind. So we're going to do all 4 retrieves at this one spot. We're going to do them all right in a row, bang, 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 bang. And part of this too is just to prevent the dog from thinking about it. We just want him to get comfortable and become familiar with this spot and doing blinds here. Dogs are place-based learners, so if he's doing something well here, then we'll have to practice this at other ponds to make sure that he understands the concept. But help them succeed by starting at one pond and one send location at first. And again, enforce your force fetch. He dropped that dummy, so he got a quick ear pinch. He had to complete the retrieve. And then as he was retrieving that, you can see that in the background, Scott placed this next dummy. So he's completely hidden from view now for this 3rd retrieve. So the dummies floating out there kind of visible. I'm trying to get Enzo to set up for this other retrieve. He's so excited about it, he just wants to go back into the water right away. So right as I was sending him there, we had the duck call go off, just to, again, provide one other little stimulus to make sure that he is confident in crossing the water here. And because the dummy is out in the open, he could see it once he got into the water. So not a true blind yet, but we're almost there on this third of 4 retrieves. You can tell that Enzo's really enthusiastic as he's barking the whole way across. So we don't really need any additional stimulus, but if your dog is struggling to cross the pond, that's where your training assistant would continue blowing on the duck call, or they could also throw some rocks to get some splashes near wherever the dummy is, just to try to entice the dog over. But again, it needs to come from your training partner, not you. The dog needs to always think there's positive, fun stuff on the opposite shore. We don't ever want them looking at you or coming back to your shore. So as he's completing this retrieve, you can see that Scott placed this last dummy. You can see it there across the pond, but this will be a blind retrieve now. So he's not going to blow the duck call. This will be a complete blind. So we'll get set up again. I always stick my hand out to kind of line him up and then give the same send command. So we got a really nice send there. Again, we do these 4 retrieves in quick succession so that it's just routine at this point. We've just made the same swim, the same retrieve 4 times now. So it should be easy for your dog to just go in right away and go across. He shouldn't need any other help. However, if he does, you know, maybe the pond was a little bigger than what he was comfortable with or whatever it might be. Again, your training partner needs to get that dog to come across to their side no matter what it takes so that they can succeed at finding the dummy. So always have rocks, always have a duck call. And then on test day, the dog will have to exit the water before they can complete the retrieve. So make sure that as the dog's coming back with the retrieve, you take a few steps off the bank so that the dog has to come completely out of the water to sit and deliver to you. All right, so hopefully after that, your dog will be able to complete blind retrieves at this one site. Of course, this was his first time here, so he will probably need a little more repetition. At this pond, maybe next time, instead of doing all 4 retrieves in a row, we might just set up with just the 3rd retrieve where we have a partner hidden on the opposite shore and ready to blow the duck call if necessary or throw rocks. And then the next training session, we might do another complete blind at this site. And then we'll also start introducing some other ponds. You definitely want to get your dog on a handful of different ponds with different cover types, different sizes, just to make sure that they've actually learned the lesson. Because again, they're place-based learners. So just because they're acing something at one spot doesn't mean they're going to ace that same subject at another spot. So continue training every week. Just try different ponds, try different distances, different covers, and pretty soon you'll have a dog that you're confident in sending blindly across any body of water.